time where we walk.
Yeah.
Where we're sitting today. I hope you guys are sitting down too as you're watching us. Thanks for joining us for KARE 11 News at noon. We're following breaking news out of the Secret Service today after the attempted assassination of former President Trump. And it's a big day in Milwaukee where the vice president is making her first campaign stop. We'll cover all of that. But first, we got to talk about the weather.
Yes, noticeably cooler today. A lot of cloud cover, but we are going to take a step back from the heat. We've been in the 80s a good chunk of this week. We have 70s in the forecast the next couple of days. And we did miss out on some pretty solid rainfall around the Twin Cities metro. This is our radar satellite composite. You could see a cluster of stronger thunderstorms now moving into south central Minnesota. This did provide a little bit of severe activity out towards Wilmer just after daybreak this morning, but that basically totally missed the Twin Cities. The lingering showers stretching from Le Sueur eastward to just south of the Northfield area, so Owatonna, Faribault dealing with some light rain showers, but again, that is heading away from us. You can see what it's doing to our temperatures, keeping us in the 60s for now. We can expect to see mid to upper 70s for forecast highs, as we do expect some partial clearing today, but at least in the short term, things are going to be kind of on the cloudier side. Maybe a stray shower or two late this afternoon, but I think most of us are going to dry out and eventually see some partial clearing. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast. Temperatures back in the 70s within the next hour or so. Again, mid to upper 70s for highs both today and tomorrow, but we do have the return of some big-time summer heat just in time for the upcoming weekend. We'll have more on that forecast coming up, Cece.
Hey, looking forward to hearing that. Thanks, Ben. Well, our top story today follows breaking news out of Capitol Hill. Just over 2 hours ago, we learned the director of the Secret Service will step down. It comes in the wake of the assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump. Kimberly Cheadle has served as the Secret Service director since August of 2022. She announced her decision today in an email to staff members. She's been facing growing calls to resign in several investigations. Right now, we're taking a live look at Milwaukee, where Vice President Kamala Harris has landed just minutes ago. That's where in about an hour, she's making her first campaign stop since announcing her run for president. Michelle Beck shows us what we've seen from her campaign so far.
It's amazing how much support Kamala Harris has gotten so quickly. In the first 24 hours of Biden announcing he's dropping out of the race, the Harris campaign says it's raked in $81 million. Yesterday, on her first full day as a presidential candidate, she got the backing of other prominent Democrats, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Harris stopped in Wilmington, Delaware at her headquarters, meeting staffers and reaching out to hundreds of allies. That's when President Biden called in with his first public comments since dropping out of the race.
We have doors to knock on. We have people to talk to. We have phone calls to make. And we have an election to win. Are you ready to get to work? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? We're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe.
Biden went on to say over the phone he's not going anywhere and that he'll join her on the campaign trail. But with Harris now holding the reins, who she'll pick as her running mate is a big question moving forward. California's Gavin Newsom and Kentucky's Andy Beshear are on that list. Back to you.
Thanks to Michelle for that update. With growing support behind Kamala Harris for the Democratic nomination, conversations are turning to potential running mates, as Michelle mentioned. Although he's likely not a top choice, political experts say Governor Tim Walz's name has popped up on several lists of potential contenders in the last 24 hours. The governor told KARE 11's news partner, NPR News, that he's open to the idea.
If I thought there was something that I could bring to the ticket and make a difference, especially in those states that we need to win, I'm certainly listening. But look, I've got the best job I could ever hope for, the honor of my life serving the people of Minnesota. I think, though, when I travel, a lot of states like what we're doing here, and I think that idea that we could do that in other places would be great.
U of M political science professor Larry Jacobs says although Walz doubles down on Democrat strengths, he believes the Harris campaign will be looking for a candidate who can stretch the party's appeal to independent and swing voters, maybe even some Republicans.
The Harris campaign is looking for a candidate who can be effective in taking on J.D. Vance in a way that reintroduces the Harris ticket to voters who are not now supporting the Democrats. That's the key here. How can you broaden the appeal of the Harris ticket? And right now, I think they've got a real struggle. They are clearly the underdogs at this point.
Jacob says the top picks so far include Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear and North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, along with U.S. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. In our next half hour, we're hearing from J.D. Vance, who's running for VP on the Republican ticket. He's responding to the idea of facing Harris in November. Today is the deadline if you want to pre-register to vote ahead of the August primary in Minnesota. If you're registering online, you have until 11:59 tonight. If you're dropping off paper registrations, you'll have to do that by 5. You'll also have the option to register at your polling place on August 13th. Well, just hours ago, we learned the Department of Transportation is starting an investigation into travel issues with Delta Airlines. It comes as thousands of people are still stranded, as you can see here, at airports following a global software issue last Friday. Audrey Russo brings us what that looks like here at MSP.
Another day, another canceled flight here at MSP. A lot of folks out here waiting in line. MSP now ranks second highest in the nation for canceled flights, second only to Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta. Both of these airports are Delta hubs, and 5 days into this travel mayhem, Delta is the airline that continues to be affected by this IT outage that took out Microsoft computers nationwide back on Friday. There are now close to 1,000 flights canceled across the country. According to FlightAware, many of those, the majority, are Delta flights.
On a scale of 1 to 10, maybe like 42. So, we're almost there, and they finally rebooked us and didn't add our pre-check.
We spoke to the editor of ThriftyTraveler.com, who says Delta's crew scheduling software has been slow to restore after that CrowdStrike outage. With thousands of flights set to take off during this busy travel season, employees with the airline simply can't keep up.
Serious black eye for an airline like Delta that has, tried to be the premium airline of the United States and has really prided itself on its reliability.
Thrifty Traveler recommends that if you have a flight with Delta later on this week, you should start looking for a backup flight with another airline pretty much immediately, because they do not predict this will be entirely sorted out by week's end. Meantime, if you do find yourself stuck, Delta is offering meal vouchers, hotel compensation. You can apply for those on their website. Back to you.
Yikes, I hope things can get cleared up soon. Thanks to Audrey for that. In other news this afternoon, the Minnesota BCA is asking for help finding 17-year-old Cadence Johnson. Officials say she ran away from a home in Sartell with another woman a month ago. That woman returned, but Cadence hasn't. Anyone with information should call police. Now, one of the 5 people charged in the attempted bribery of a juror during the Feeding Our Future trial will be back in court in just over an hour. A plea hearing is set for Abdimajid Noor. He's accused of recruiting his friend to fly to Minnesota and deliver $120,000 in cash to bribe one of the jurors in the meal fraud trial back in June. Noor is facing several charges, including conspiracy to bribe a juror and bribery of a juror. Something to think about putting on your calendar tonight. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara is hosting another community barbecue. You can meet officers and special units from Minneapolis while enjoying some food and games. It's happening at Shiloh Temple on West Broadway. That starts at 5 o'clock. Well, for a lot of students, we're just over halfway through summer vacation, and parents, you may want to start budgeting for your back-to-school shopping list. The National Retail Federation estimates families will spend an average of more than $874 on school supplies, clothes, and electronics. That is steep. That total is the second highest figure in the survey's history, behind only last year's mark of $890. College students are bracing to spend even more. They're likely to shell out over $1,300 this upcoming school year.
We know that things like electronics are a much bigger portion of back to school and college spending than they used to be.
Here's a breakdown of what parents are budgeting on average. If you're looking to save, discount stores have a large variety of school supplies, and many big box retailers will offer discounts at the end of this month.
This week on Your Money, we're talking about kids and money, the important money lessons that you should be teaching your kids and grandkids right now. Also, what age is appropriate to start a savings account for your kid? And at what age can they understand how a debit card works? Plus, during the interview segment of this episode, I sit down with 2 local women who teach elementary students about the stock market. They use a game with fake money and they invest in real stocks to understand how the stock market works. They compete against each other to see who can make the most money. If you want to catch this episode, head to the KARE 11 Plus streaming channel. You can download it on your Roku, your smart TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and Apple TV.